I mean, from a technology concern, what we're seeing the whole world is changing, is moving into this cloud computing platform, which revolutionizes a lot of ways that people handle their IT infrastructure. I mean, previously everybody has to maintain their own data center with their own network infrastructure and all that. And that's why when companies getting bigger and bigger, their infrastructure becomes more and more complex, and that's when they galvanize towards buying, Cisco, Juniper, that type of products. But over the last few years, because of cloud computing, a lot of the applications are either cloud-based, such as Salesforce.com, such as Workday.com, that you actually rent, the applications rather than own the applications outright. As well as because cloud computing is also moving into public data center, so there's a lot of people running so-called their own ERP systems off of data centers run by telcos, run by Amazon, run by Google. So all of a sudden, the network infrastructure that's required to host the remaining applications that they still proprietary own gets significantly smaller. All right, so it changes the dynamic. So in other words, the network infrastructure for companies even to the size of 5,000 people looks like, from a complexity standpoint, the network infrastructure of the 500 people company 10 years ago. So that gives us a lot of opportunities, all right, to expand beyond our traditional market, which is companies with up to 500 employees. Now we can tackle companies with 5,000 employees because more and more of the infrastructure is moved into the cloud. Now at the same time, when more and more of the infrastructure is moved to the cloud, then the access to the cloud becomes very important.
Right.
And frankly, if most of the applications run in the cloud, okay, then the access to that cloud has to be very fast. If you get choked, by that access to the cloud, then everything falls apart.
You're right.
All right. So that's why, so we are absolutely providing that access to the cloud in the most efficient way. And there are two things happening. One is that I don't exactly know about India, but I think it's following the same trend. The wired connections to the cloud is getting cheaper and cheaper by the day as far as speed is concerned. All right, today it is not that expensive in the US or in Western Europe to have a gigabit link into the data center. Well, years ago it cost you a bundle of money. Not anymore. And now we're talking about even 10 gig links to the data center, which is getting more and more commonplace. So that's why Netgear has led the SMB in moving on to 10 gig. So provide that big pathway into the cloud. Second one, within the company itself, the access to the cloud is mostly done through mobile devices. All right, people using tablets, people using smartphones. So that's why wireless coverage, in the office is very important. So when you look at that, I mean, those are the three things that's happening. One, the complexity of the IT infrastructure is significantly simplified because now it's all in the cloud, right? Which enables Netgear to really tackle much bigger size companies than before. Secondly, the access to the cloud is getting faster and cheaper every day. So 1 gig, 10 gig is a requirement. And then we're bringing those technology to the SMB faster than anybody else. Third is more and more people are accessing the cloud through mobile devices, which plays into our own hand because we're the #1 Wi-Fi vendor in the world, so we know how to deal with that. So those three things really help us to expand, our possibility in the market. Now, given the fact that India is one of the fastest growing economy in the world, and actually you can argue is one of the leading edge IT aware country in the world. So when you add all those elements together, India is a very fertile ground for us to expand our presence. No, I mean the telco is the infrastructure, right? The providing data. We don't go into the data center.
Okay.
outfitting a data center is still a battle, among people like Cisco, about Juniper, about those people, data center guys. We are providing the access to the cloud. Broadband growth, to us, you get into two segments, as I said, right? You get the SMB, the commercial segment. The commercial segment, you can further segregate it into the medium-sized business and the small business. On the medium-sized business, we believe that going forward is still a significant dependent on the wired infrastructure. And then I hope that India will continue to follow, the rest of the world is to providing cheaper and faster wired, connection to the cloud. For the smaller businesses, we do believe that going forward, wireless is the most effective way to really connect to the cloud. Wireless meaning using LTE, mobile, right? Because India is rolling out LTE 4G more and more to more cities. I heard that Airtel, Reliance are going to do it.
Is also coming.
Right. So that, the 4G technology will be able to provide up to 100 megabit or even 300 megabit easily, over wireless means into the small businesses. So that's why we invest significantly into what we call the LTE gateway, which enable SMBs to easily just connect, to high-speed broadband on mobile manner, so you don't have to depend, on the wired infrastructure. Because frankly, a lot of the what we call small and micro businesses in areas in India that it was very difficult to get a fiber link into the area, and the fastest, easier is to use 4G to link up, and we're very strong there, and we're a significant player in the 4G LTE world. Well, storage is another area, all right, because unfortunately, today people still do not have what we call 100% uptime confidence in the cloud, all right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of times they still want to maintain, a local storage, just in case the cloud is not accessible. So the local storage and the cloud are a replica of each other, so that they would be able to back it up. So we focus 100% on providing this type of storage environment, that the local storage is a replica of the cloud storage, which is built into our entire storage line. It doesn't matter whether it's a 2-slot desktop or all the way up to a 24-bay, high-end rack mount. They all have the same data replication, capability. We see a significant uptake of that type of products in India, for our lineup, and we continue to see significant uptake in the foregoing future, because we offer a very unique data protection and availability solutions at a cost of ownership point that is very suitable, for markets in India or in China or in some developing economies. We will continue to enjoy significant growth in India, both on the SMB side as well as on the wireless side, which we believe will continue. On the R&D front, we continue to bulk up our R&D capabilities in India. We have 2 R&D centers, one in Hyderabad and one in Bangalore. And we just moved into another new floor in Bangalore.
I've seen that.
Yeah, we just talked about we probably want to take on a 3rd floor in Bangalore. And
so you want to take the whole building, then you'll come.
Well, if we could, yeah. We talked about yesterday we had a big talk.
Hats off to Subhadeep.
Right. I mean,
for me. It's a different team.
Industry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we are absolutely bullish in the capabilities of R&D. In India, we'll continue to bulk it up, and the location that we have in Bangalore right now is very ideal. Right, is in the middle, close to the middle of town, so we could attract engineers from anywhere.
Yes, ideally located a building.
Clearly, those 3 are major product lines for commercial, and those 3 are interconnected with each other. Mm-hmm. And as I said, it is the wireless, that feed the mobile users onto the back end link of the gigabit into the cloud, and then it's the storage to enable the integrity of the cloud, the data between local and in the cloud. So the three are very related, and in most of our sales, at least two out of the three categories are in the deal. So people are buying our switches plus the storage, or people are buying our wireless controllers plus our switches, and sometimes it would not be unusual that they buy all three of them. So that we feel they're all related. Channel is 100% important for us because unlike all our competitors, we don't go direct. Okay. All right. If you look at even as a smaller player like Dell's networking, to big players like Cisco and HP, they wouldn't hesitate to take any deal direct if they see it to be lucrative, or they see that they would like to have direct control.
Direct Dell, they have got a direct, indirect, both connected.
Yeah, but
now they're having a challenge how to integrate that into the channel ecosystem.
That's right.
A challenge they have.
Right, but we don't have that challenge because we're totally indirect. We don't go direct with any deals. Right, every single deal is fulfilled by a reseller and a distributor. Every single one. As I said, the biggest help with the advancement of cloud is letting us to really go sell to companies, corporations, all right, of up to 5,000 employees. I mean, before we are restricted that we would sell to only 500 employees because the biggest thing about the data center, when you have a data center, the data center has to be up 100% of the time. It has to, all right? So when you go beyond 500 users, to maintain the data center up, the network infrastructure for the data center up for 100% of the time is very complicated. All right, going beyond 500 people just say, hey, I'll go Cisco. They're more reliable. But when the cloud comes in, the data center is not owned by you yourself already. It's owned by Amazon, it's owned by Google, it's owned by telco company. They would manage to have 100% uptime, for the data center. It's none of our business anymore. So all we need is to provide 100% uptime to the access, which is much easier. So that's why it significantly expand our capabilities of tackling, big companies. So in the U.S., we have been able to really get into big companies by providing the network infrastructure. For example, like Coach, which is a big luxury brand in the U.S. I mean, before the advancement of cloud, there's no hope that we can get into that kind of company. Now we can. All right. So that's the biggest change of cloud. Yeah. The software defined, to be frank with you, we haven't figured it out. We haven't figured it out. Because today, most of the SDN activities is all centered around the data center, inside the data center. But as of now, we have no interest going into the data center. All right, so we haven't been able to really, dive a little bit deeper into what SDN could provide for the access, to the data center and to the cloud. But on the other hand, we're always watching it very carefully. We're one of the early adopter or supporter of the what we call the open flow standard. We work very closely with Big Switch and all those companies. So we're monitoring how the SDN will be able to help, all right, in providing the access, to the data center. But as far as the inside the data center is concerned, we haven't really done anything into the SDN world. So what we have been doing right now for the time is really providing what we call the data protection between the cloud and the local, and that's where most of R&D is based on, to make sure that data is replicated across in real time, easily. So we haven't really put a lot of R&D into the analytics of the data, which is what big data is all about. We'd rather partner, with other people who are providing the data analytics. And big data usually is a very localized operations. So, there are a whole bunch of companies in the U.S. providing that kind of data analytics, and I'm sure that there are a whole bunch of them in India as well. And then we're absolutely open to partnering with those data analytic, third parties, to provide that big data. I mean, to be fair with you, we have been in the security business. Unfortunately, we have not been very successful in that, so we have to concede that. We do have our line of security products such as firewalls,
Yes.
such as UTM, such as content.
You are having that UTM and firewall?
Oh yeah. We have firewalls, we have UTMs, and we also have content filtering appliance. Yeah, we do have that.
Okay.
Yeah, but even you don't know, so that shows you how successful we have been.
But your DNA is technology, right?
Yeah, we do have the technology, but we're just not very visible in the market. I mean, what we found out is a lot of time it's not just the product that counts, it's the channel. All right. So what we found out is that the channels for storage, the channel for switches, the channels for wireless, the channels for security are very different. They're not really the same. Now, we have been lucky enough
Server storage will be the same.
Huh?
Server and storage.
I'm sorry?
So for channel partner for server and storage will be the same.
Correct. Which is different from switches, though.
Yes, from switches and
Yeah. So now we have been very fortunate in India that, I mean, Subal came on and know the channels very well. So Subal has been able to help us to recruit a lot of storage channel partners who used to do storage and server, and we've been very successful, and particularly in the southern part of India, and so it's very good. We have traditionally be very strong on the switch channel anyway, so that we don't have a problem. And now we're developing the wireless channel, all right. But for the security channel, they're very special. I mean, the whole bunch of really niche channel partners that sell for Fortinet, or they sell for Sonic Wall, they sell for WatchGuard. I mean, it's very difficult.
Many players also came now. Paul Alto is coming in, a very emerging player.
Exactly. So
Magic, and again a German company.
Right. So what we see is, unless you're 100% pure play, all right, it's very difficult for you to really gain the loyalty and the confidence of that channel. So those channels.
You need a bigger team to work.
I mean, you need a really dedicated, really big team to work. I mean, so that's why the pure plays, Palo Alto Networks, Fortinet, Sonic Wall, those guys are getting a heyday. Yeah, with that channel.